the down arrow, it was off the side of the screen, I couldn't see it. But I also tried to access it myself. This is what you call a report, basically. We have, within the program, I give them, in this case, they did a comparison of the parcels that are outside this is, let's see, the red is the areas that are inside the district boundaries but outside the current place of use. All right?
Okay, go over that one more time so my brain processes.
I'm going to add the place of use boundary too. Okay? You might be able to see a little bit better. Okay?
Okay.
Now the red hash, the red dashed line is our district boundaries. The aqua line, again, is the place of use. All this report does, this layer, is shows the properties that are outside the place of use. So they're on the outside of the turquoise line, but inside the district boundaries. So this is the area that the state would be concerned about, properties that we might decide to provide water service to, because they're in our boundaries. Remember, in our boundaries, we can provide water service. But the mandate is that if we're providing water service to any of those properties outside that turquoise line, that we have water supply to provide them. Okay? That's not from Lake McClure. So that's what that just gives you an example or a visual of what those are. Again, we're going to zoom into it. I just want to go on to the next one, and I will take this one off just so that we can go one at a time. So these are where the place of use extends outside the district boundaries. Not as relevant in reality, but this is where it's got the blue highlight, and it's really only here, here, and here. There's a little piece right here where the place of use, where we can actually use Merced Irrigation District water from Lake McClure, but it's outside the district boundaries. So in order to be able to provide water to any of those properties, we'd need to go to LAFCO.
So they would have to annex in, is that kind of? Okay.
Annex or by contract. Okay. The only time LAFCO usually approves it by contract is if there's no chance they're going to annex, but they really need it. Like if there was a low-income trailer park or something that was outside, but it didn't make any sense to annex the whole lands in between, they would authorize that.
Okay. So the blue is property we can serve, but it's outside our district boundaries.
We can use Lake McClure water.
But it's still outside, some of it's outside the district boundaries.
Yes, it's, right.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so it's not super relevant to the discussion, but it's just an interesting visual. So what the state has issued their violation on are the green areas, okay?
Okay.
The green areas identify the parcels that we have in the place of use report. So the 35 properties that we identify in that report that you received that details out their consumption all fall in these green areas. And you can see they're outside the turquoise, and in some places they're inside the boundaries. You know, for example, up here, here, those are inside the district boundaries. This one's inside the district boundaries. However, down here, that's outside the place of use and outside the district boundaries. So is this. So is this area up here. And we'll zoom in a little bit on this in just a second. I'm trying to take us through this at an understanding level before I move on. So there's 35 properties that we're stating consumption on, okay, that we have metered connections on that are outside that place of use. That are on our report. Again, I'll be able to show you that there's some problems with the report that we need to address. So I'm gonna take us, as long as we understand what this is, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit now, okay? And I'm gonna take us up here in this area right here. So I'm gonna zoom in, and this is over off of Arbawada, Lenura, that area. Okay, this is Lenura, this is Arbawada, Molina. If you can't see, I can still go in more and still see. I can probably go in even one more, and then you'll be able to really see what's going on. The more you zoom in, things kind of get misaligned a little bit, but it's it just depends on how you look at the map. But the thin lines are the parcels. That comes from a company called Parcel Quest. They maintain a database of properties. They update them on a pretty regular basis. If you've ever done any real estate transactions, they're kind of a helpful service, and that they keep that information up to date. The interesting thing is here, and Cindy, this is, I believe, just we transposed a two APNs because normally that report doesn't have AP numbers on it. Okay, the outside place of use report, it just has customer number and address and consumption information. We added AP numbers so that it could be plugged in here because everything's tied to AP numbers on this map. When we did, this account got transposed. This property is not the one that's listed in the outside place of use report. It's actually this property, okay, and this property, which is an interesting, it's not, you know, those are correctly listed in the outside place of use report, okay? So I just wanted you to know that this is what this layer shows, but I just, because I haven't had a chance to go back and find that problem with the assessor's parcel number that directed it to here. And he said he couldn't find the other assessor's parcel number that is this one in our listing. It was just incorrectly written down. When I have this revision done showing these properties, this one will be highlighted, this one will be highlighted, and then this one will go away because that's not listed in the report, okay? And that makes up for the 35 properties. But what's interesting here is you've got, I'm going to clear this selection just so that we've got all one cover here, is the district boundaries and the place of use boundaries are coterminous. They're the same line, and they cut through those two parcels. And the reason that it cuts through those two parcels is because they were originally just this lot over here, and they combined it with this one and got a new assessor's parcel number. Okay?
Is the goal now one parcel number?
Well, that's the way
The gold is now one parcel, yes.
and that's the way that the records are kept.
Okay,
you know,
so it's one
when they came in with when they bought the property, I don't know if which one came first, the chicken or the egg, but they basically came to they went to the county and did a lot line adjustment. They bought that property outside, did a lot line adjustment, made it one big legal parcel, got a different parcel number. They came to the district for service. We gave them service. Not that it's a big deal, except that it's inside and outside the district boundaries, inside and outside the place of use. And you notice that when I click on the properties, I get the property record, okay? I can do that for one property, I can do it for multiple properties with this tool. And that's really helpful for either people in the field to know who it is, or especially in the office to be able to know these properties are owned by these people. You can actually take that and export it to Excel too, for any property that you select. Really, really fantastic tools. Okay, so this property is served, and it is outside the boundaries and outside the place of use. There's a lot of documentation related to that property on file where they were required to annex, and it never annexed to the district boundaries, and it just never happened. There was changes in management, you know, it wasn't, we were telling them they had to do it, but normally you make that happen before you provide the service, okay? So looking at our maps, it was really unclear because the district map said that that was an annexed parcel. The district paper infrastructure maps. So I went over those two customers again. They are on the outside place of use report. They're both originally in the district, and then now they're out there. I want to add something in here though. I'm going to clear that selection. Now I'm going to add in the district water lines. Okay, these are what was put together by district staff. Pretty darn accurate, you know, where they located this. The consultant was able to take that information and plug it in. So it shows where our water lines are. We never had the file done for the valves, the hydrants, the services. Okay, so when you look at our district paper map that has every street and every pipe and the pipe sizes and everything else, that shows which services are active, which ones are metered, which ones are open, you know, and gives us all the information about that. So an interesting thing about this also, and ways that it helps us determine what's going on these properties and whether they're, you know, where, okay, so these properties got combined, so what does that mean? What do they look like? You can go to the satellite map. I'm going to clear that selection again. And interesting thing, you can see that in that piece of property that runs from here to here, they actually built over here. So they wanted to have a lake view, so they probably built on top of the hill. Looks like a great place.
And just push the water line over to the other property.
Who knows? I mean, yeah, the metered connection is obviously
Right.
on Lenora. That's where the account is listed. But that's also why they included it in the outside place of use report, I have to assume, you know, because they're outside, built outside. The same goes with this property. You can see they're out here, and then this property is obviously outside.
Did you make that green or is that green?
That's that green later. I can turn that. I can actually turn that off now. I think we don't need it anymore for just this part of the discussion. That was that green layer that was the ones that are being reported on the outside place of use report. But anyway, so this is what the satellite and the hybrid is just highlights it, adds in accesses and driveways and different things that are other features. And this is helpful if you want to know areas. Well, gosh, why is that parcel got so much going on? Has no meter, and yet it's greener than heck, you know, and it's obviously got gardens and different things. There's value in being able to see that. The one other feature that I don't need to spend a lot of time on, but it helped us to be able to take a look at the end of that water main, and we could determine, let me turn it around real quick, so I'm going down the end of the street here. If anybody's used Google Earth, you kind of understand how this functions. But originally the end of the main line was here, right in this area. And when those properties asked for water service, they extended the main line and put the fire hydrant out here. Because there was a requirement that they put in service connections and put them on the property line, and so this just helped us be able to confirm that that's what took place. But what's interesting here is you've got, I'm going to clear this selection just so that we've got all one color here, is the district boundaries and the place of use boundaries are coterminous. They're the same line. And they cut through those two parcels. And the reason that it cuts through those two parcels is because they were originally just this lot over here, and they combined it with this one. and got a new assessor's parcel number. Okay?
Is the goal now?